Hello, and welcome to the Fall 2021 Repopulation Forum, sponsored by the Cal State Long Beach Academic Senate and the Division of Academic Affairs. I am Karen Sissom-Gunn, Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, and I'm happy to also introduce to you Dr. Neil Hultgren, who serves as our chair for the Cal State Long Beach Academic Senate. Dr. Hultgren and I will serve as the co-facilitators for today's forum. The purpose of this event is to provide an opportunity to best assure that we can provide information about fall repopulation to our beach community. As such, we're pleased to have several of our campus's repopulation information leaders to answer questions today. After this forum, if you think there are additional questions that could be answered, please contact us at lowercase aa-AFFAIRS@csulb.edu. A link for viewing the forum will be provided, so please check out our Academic Affairs YouTube channel so that you can have access to viewing the forum. I now turn the floor over to you, Dr. Hultgren, to introduce our panel for today.
Great, thank you, Provost Sissom-Gunn. Hi, everyone. Let's begin with our panelists introducing themselves. We'll start with Vice President Lessin. What is your name, your title, and your current capacity for helping with repopulation?
Hi, thank you, Neil. My name is Beth Lessin, and I am Vice President of Student Affairs here at Cal State Long Beach. My current role with repopulation, I oversee student health services. So amongst other things, and I sit on the executive team for the university. So amongst other things, we're coordinating our on-campus health and wellness services for testing and for contact tracing, as well as overseeing the vaccination certification tool process that all of our students will undergo.
Great, thanks. Vice Provost Cormack.
Hi, my name is Jody Cormack. I'm the Vice Provost for Academic Programs and the Dean of Graduate Studies. My role is really to help coordinate course repopulation back onto campus.
Thanks. And Associate Vice President Nancy Torres.
Oh, good morning. My name is Nancy Torres. I'm the Associate Vice President of Human Resources. I have responsibility for the staff-employee relations as well as everyone's payroll and benefits. I have been sitting on the repopulation or participating on the repopulation team for the last 6 months or so. We were originally a COVID team, and then we morphed into the repop team. And then I also participate on some of the subgroups related to repopulation.
Great, thank you. Associate Vice President Fleming.
Hello, I'm Kirsty Fleming. I'm the Associate Vice President for Faculty Affairs, and Faculty Affairs is responsible for overseeing academic policies, procedures, processes. So a lot of our work around the pandemic is how does it impact the faculty evaluation process? What kinds of programs can we put in place to help faculty members mitigate the impact of the pandemic? We also have labor relations in faculty affairs and compensation. So we have a variety of programming to help faculty members make the transition back to face-to-face.
Great, thank you. Assistant Vice President Laws.
Hi, I'm Michelle Laws. I'm an Assistant Vice President in Administration and Finance, and I am co-chair of the Repopulation Committee on campus and really helping with the operational repopulation.
Next, we'll hear from Angela Conti, Director of Operations for CSULB Student Health Services.
Hi, my name is Angela Conti, and I'm the Director of Operations at Student Health. I currently am overseeing and coordinating all COVID-19 health and wellness related concerns on campus as it relates to students, staff, and faculty. That covers vaccine, contact tracing, and testing. I work very closely with Dr. Lessin in Student Affairs.
Thank you. And finally, we have the Director of Environmental Health and Safety, George Alfaro.
Hello, everybody. My name is George Alfaro. I am the Director of Environmental Health and Safety on campus. And my responsibility is ensuring the overall health and safety of the campus community. So as you can imagine, in response to COVID, I am participating in various committees and subcommittees to make sure we ensure the health and safety of the campus.
Very nice. Thank you so much, panelists, for being here. And we're now ready to get started with our question and answering session. So we'll start first with Vice President Cormack, who's going to answer questions about class and course repopulation. Our first question, how will faculty know if students in in-person classes are neither vaccinated nor getting tested?
So I will say at some point they might not know. Really, our main safety measure is to ensure the campus is vaccinated as well as face masked. So the vaccination information will be held behind the scenes and not be shared with faculty, but they should be assured that students coming into their classroom either have a vaccination or have been approved for an exemption in which they will have other accommodations such as testing. So that will be happening behind the scenes. Face masks are what the faculty will be able to see in the classroom.
Very good, thank you. Our next question, what role will faculty play in screening students who come to class?
One of the things we'll be asking everyone that comes to campus to do, faculty, staff, and students, is to complete the health screening questionnaire. And those that have been coming to campus know that you'll get a red X or a green check. And if the green check is there, then you're free to come to campus. You may get a red X for a variety of reasons. That red X could be because you have had some exposure to someone, even though you're not feeling ill, or you may have a headache that day, or you may have other symptoms that are completely unrelated to COVID. So that red X is really not a sharing of health information. It's not an identification of someone carrying COVID. It's just saying this is someone that we need to screen further. So the faculty may choose to check for on the mobile phones, the green checks and potentially any red X's when the students come into the classroom. And if a student has a red X, then ask them to follow up. They'll be getting emails to follow up on that red X. And if they're feeling any symptoms, perhaps go to Student Health Services.
Thank you. Will there be a detailed procedure?
We're working on it. So I think at the point that this is being filmed, our primary goal is to get the system up for everyone to put that information, their vaccination or exemption information, into the system. And we're working on some of those finalized procedures, and we'll get those out to you soon.
Very good. What is the threshold for numbers of COVID cases to send everyone back online?
You know, at this point, we don't have those numbers. And when and if those numbers are provided, they'll be provided typically from public health or CDC. So that's what we relied on last year. We really relied heavily on our public health partners in our city and county to give us guidance. And usually that guidance is related to case rate, which is, you know, the number of positive cases per 10,000 or 100,000. The rate of increase, how quickly it's going. A lot of times we were asked to shut down or pull back last year based on hospital bed availability as well. Vaccine rate is a new factor that will be entered into some of those decisions. So we'll rely on our public health to give us an indication if we need to pull back.
That's so helpful. What is the protocol for face-to-face office hours, particularly for faculty who share their offices?
Yeah, so, you know, the protocol for office hours is the same as it has been. We have a policy on office hours, and really it says that office hours should be consistent with the mode of instruction. So that will continue. For those that are having office hours on campus, just a reminder, there are no social distancing requirements, so people can use shared spaces. I think typically any faculty that would share an office might not have office hours with multiple students in the office and multiple faculty, but that's something faculty need to work out on their own. A reminder again that everyone should be wearing face masks whenever indoors.
Indeed, indeed. And that's a really good reminder. I have one final question for you. If faculty don't feel comfortable teaching in person, can they make their courses synchronous?
Yeah, so at this point, we have our set schedule. So when we were building our schedule last spring, early last spring, we really gave the colleges and the departments the opportunity to identify those courses that they thought would be best taught on campus. And so we created that schedule, and we've offered that schedule and students have registered. So at this point, students are counting and they've made that commitment and choice to come to campus, and we need to honor that commitment. Really, we can only change if there is some sort of a directive from public health that we need to go back to AMI. And if that happens, we'll consider it. But the schedule shouldn't be changed at this point.
Can you clarify for our listeners and viewers what the acronym AMI stands for?
Yeah, thank you. So we used AMI for alternative modes of instruction, and we use that as a COVID specific term, knowing that, you know, true online teaching, it's something that we've developed over the past year and a half. But as we made that shift, we were just using alternative modes to ensure that students could continue their classes. And that's why it's so important when those decisions were made up front. And as we make those decisions for spring 22 and beyond, we're really talking about good online pedagogy, hybrid pedagogy, using HyFlex, doing it differently than making a shift because of an emergency circumstance. So that's what we're talking about when it comes to AMI.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cormack. And I really appreciate you amplifying the message around our position on faculty members independently making shifts in course delivery methods outside of any other guidance. So thank you so much for amplifying that message. Thank you. And I am going to turn the floor over now to Dr. Hultgren.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Vice President of Student Services, Beth Lesson. The first question we have is about the vaccination requirement. Given the timing of the vaccination requirement, will some students on campus be unvaccinated during August and September?
Yeah, so the short answer is yes, but I think it's important to remember that there will always be some unvaccinated students on campus because there are medical and religious exemptions that are available. So there will always be people on campus who are not vaccinated because there are folks who, for whom it is medically contraindicated, and there are folks for whom it conflicts with their longstanding religious beliefs. No one will know whether someone is vaccinated or unvaccinated unless they volunteer that information. But the measures that we've put in place around requiring vaccination of all those who are capable of being vaccinated and wearing the face masks should keep everybody healthy and safe. All students are required to complete their vaccination certification tool by September 30th. That's the hard requirement. They've been asked to complete by August 23rd, by the start of classes. Anyone with on-campus classes who doesn't upload proof of vaccination by August 23rd will be required to participate in weekly surveillance testing until and unless they upload their proof of vaccination. So everyone who does not have evidence of having been vaccinated will be required to undergo weekly surveillance testing.
Thank you. And will students be made aware of the potential consequences for violating the masking mandate?
So students have been informed that they're required to wear a mask indoors on campus. They've already been informed more than once. They'll continue to be informed of that requirement. And it's being explained as a campus policy. And we have an Office of Student Conduct and Ethical Development to deal with any policy violations, including this one. So anytime someone violates campus policy, a referral to student conduct makes good sense.
Thank you. The next question is related, and it's one I think we've heard a number of times. How should faculty and staff handle students who do not comply with wearing a mask in the classroom?
Well, first, it's my hope that we'll invite them to do so and give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that maybe they forgot, they ran out of their room or their house and they forgot a mask. Maybe they don't have one with them. So it's our hope that really the first thing that we'll do is ask a student to wear a mask and ask them if they have one. Every department office will be outfitted with additional masks that any faculty member can grab a couple of on their way to class to have handy. And if there's anyone in class who's not wearing a mask, the first thing I hope is that we'll say, hey, you know, we all are required to wear masks indoors. Did you forget yours? Because I have some extras here for you. So let's start with assuming that it was a simple and reasonable mistake. And then if the student refuses and won't comply with campus policy, the faculty member is welcome to ask the student to leave class until they're prepared to follow policy, or they can end the class and have everyone leave. If a faculty member chooses to end the class and leave, I hope that they'll inform their department chair that they've done so. And either way, faculty who encounter this kind of situation are invited to fill out the COVID-19 policy violation form on the Office of Student Conduct and Ethical Development website.
Great, thank you. I think many faculty will use the reminder technique that you mentioned here. That's really valuable and helpful. How should faculty and staff handle students who show symptoms?
Well, again, the best thing we can all do to protect ourselves is to be fully vaccinated and wear masks indoors. That's what the vaccine does, right? It protects us from people who are infected. Please don't confront students who seem to be symptomatic. There are many reasons why a student might sneeze or cough, including but not limited to seasonal allergies. So confronting a student who may have a cough isn't necessarily advisable. It's actually inadvisable. So instead, if you're comfortable, you're welcomed to check, as Dr. Cormack mentioned earlier, you're welcome to make it a part of your classroom practice to check the green check marks on the pre-screen. If that's something that you choose to do as a faculty member, please make sure that you let students know early in the semester, preferably on the first day, that this is just going to be a part of your class and what you're going to do with everyone. And please do it consistently with all students instead of singling anybody out. So as long as a student completes their pre-screen in the morning, if they have any kind of symptoms, that will be investigated by our contact tracing procedure, both through SHS, on campus, and also through a contracted vendor, a medical team that will help us with that. So the pre-screen will bring to our attention anyone who shows any kinds of symptoms, and we'll follow up on those appropriately. So if you notice symptoms and that's a concern, you may want to consider just checking those green check marks on the pre-screen, and then feel confident that our system is exploring any symptoms that you may see.
Great, thank you for all this information, and we'll turn it over to the provost for our next panelist. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll now shift our discussion around staff repopulation, and we're very honored to have our Associate Vice President for Human Resources Management, Nancy Torres, with us, who will answer questions. So our first question is, will staff be expected to come to campus 5 days a week?
Well, some may. So our VPs, our AVPs, our management team has been taking some time to really analyze what they feel their needs are. Coupled with that, what are the health mandates? What can we accommodate with regards within those health mandates? And ultimately, what drives everything for us is the service to our students. And are we providing the service that our students expect? So all of those things, all of those factors go into the decisions that are being made. And because our operations are so different, each manager needs to look at their unit individually and make those decisions. So, so in the long answer, I guess that's the long answer, right? So the short answer is some folks will be here every day and have been here every day, even while the majority of the campus was home. And other folks will be here on a periodic basis. Some folks, depending on their management needs and the direction they've received, may be here once a week, twice a week. It all varies. So truly, it's really being driven by the decisions at the management level in your units.
Thank you so much. What preparations have been made for staff repopulation?
There have been a number of things that we've been doing. And I can't speak for BBS, but if any of you have been absent from campus and are coming back onto campus, you will see lots of changes. And I don't want to step on anything they may be saying or any other surprises they may have for us, but just know this, that they have been diligent in making sure that we are abiding by all the safety and health regulations to provide a safe workspace for you. On the other side of the spectrum, the staff HR team they've been working hand in hand with your managers, your ASMs, your deans to determine what is needed for each of these units in order to repopulate, and also providing some tools, some language, some ideas about how to address issues as they come forward, making sure that we're all operating within the parameters of collective bargaining agreements. We're making sure that we're doing that. We have been doing some special training. George Alfaro has put together a checklist for your managers to make sure that, again, all the physical requirements are being met, that the training is being met. So there have been lots and lots of efforts to make sure that we're providing a safe workspace for everyone who comes back.
Indeed, and we are aware of the myriad efforts that are ongoing to best assure for our faculty, for our staff, and for our students that we're using the very best guidance that we have, and we are teaming and working collaboratively to make sure that we're able to deliver effective processes and robust information. So thank you for that. I have one final question for you.
Sure.
How is the administration handling communicating next steps that are necessary for staff to come back on campus?
Well, I can just say we're dancing as fast as we can. Recently, President Connolly issued a communication to the campus. It was on July 27th. And in that, she gave a very broad framework of what we were using to guide this campus and bringing it back. So I think that was one really key piece of communication as we prepared for the beginning of the fall semester. But as I said before, these your staffing plans within each of your areas and colleges is made at that operational level. So it is truly the role of your managers and your deans and all the other administrators in your areas that they are communicating with you the specific needs and requirements of your particular unit. There is not one answer for the entire campus. It is truly unit specific.
Indeed. Thank you, AVP Torres, for your answers to these questions. And I'm now going to turn the floor back over to Senate Chair Holmgren.
Great, thank you. Our next topic is faculty repopulation. And for this topic, we've consulted Associate Vice President of Faculty Affairs, Kirsty Fleming. I'll go ahead with the first question. To begin, what are the options for part-time faculty who do not want to vaccinate or do not want to risk exposure by coming to campus?
Okay, so the first comment I'll make is I would say that, in answering this question, it really isn't confined to part-time faculty members. It's really a question that applies to all members of our campus community. And I think the second thing I'd say is if you were listening to some of the other speakers, and this has been true throughout the pandemic, the decisions have been made on the basis of protecting our campus community, right? Keeping people safe. And AVP Torres described what BBS had been doing. So another significant measure to keep our campus community safe is that we have a requirement for vaccination that has been communicated by President Connolly. And what that will mean is that each member of our community, and VP Lesson talked about this, will be required or expected to complete a form that provides 4 options. The first is that you say that you're vaccinated and you prove that you're vaccinated. A second option is that you attest that you have a medical exemption. and that would be verified. The third is that you attest that you have a religious exemption. And the fourth option is to say that you're not going to have an on-campus presence. So you don't have an assignment that brings you to campus during the fall. HR is currently negotiating with a company named Shaw HR Consulting to help us run the process because we really want to make sure that the process has integrity and that we're keeping people safe. Now, VP Lesson also mentioned in the context of students, if any employee or student has an exemption, or in fact, if we don't know their status, we will assume that they're unvaccinated and they will be subject to alternative safety measures, which we currently believe will be weekly testing and mandated face coverings, which is actually an LA County guideline at the moment.
Next question. What are the options for faculty members who are not comfortable returning to campus for their in-person classes?
Well, you know, in some senses, I think a number of the answers that have been given, including the one I gave around the vaccination question, should help people feel more comfortable. Again, I can't overemphasize that every decision that's being made has the safety of our campus community in mind. So people should feel reassured that everything is being done to keep them safe. But the bottom line is, if you are an employee, faculty members in this case, and you are assigned work that involves coming to campus, you are required to do that. You are required to fulfill your assignment. And a specific spin on that came up was, if a lecturer faculty member, a part-time faculty member turns down an assignment, does that affect their future entitlement or their order of assignment? And yes, it could. I mean, you know, honestly, yes, it could. You know, that's the kind of clinical legalistic answer that I need to give, which is there are consequences to choosing to turn down an assignment or not fulfill your assignment. Those consequences would be determined through a meet and confer, or we would meet and confer with the union to talk about those.
What leaves of absence are possible for faculty?
Well, so we leaves of absences, there is an email address that you can send questions to for specifics, and it's facultyloa@csulb.edu. Now, unfortunately, at the moment, there are no special COVID leaves. We did have those during the height of the pandemic. So an option that we still have available is unpaid personal leaves. And we understand that often people are limited in their ability to take an unpaid leave. Depending on personal circumstances, family medical leave may be an option, but that's one that does require a documented medical reason. There's also through Senate Bill, I'm going to get the number wrong, I think it's 95, but Nancy will correct me, it could be 85. The legislature has provided additional sick time in case people themselves are experiencing the virus. And that's 80 hours extra sick time, which runs out, unfortunately, at the end of September for faculty members. It was extended for some unions through agreements with the union, but that option still currently exists. Not really a leave, but some flexibility if someone gets unwell.
It's good to know about the additional sick time. You've already spoken a little bit about meet and confer with the different bargaining units. How will meet and confer with CSA be? How will meet and confer with CFA be required to move forward with proof of vaccination requirements?
Yeah, no, the answer to that in some ways is in a state of flux. So we have a CSU vaccination policy. That was, the CSU had meet and confers with all the different unions. If we follow that vaccination policy exactly, that we do not need to meet and confer at the local level. But the current statewide, CSU-wide policy only requires that people self-attest. So you go in and say, I promise I have been vaccinated, right? I am attesting to it. And we're requiring proof. So we would, for example, need to do meet and confers with our unions to to agree upon that proof. Now, I will say that the way that the current vaccination policy is written, we can ask represented employees to voluntarily complete the form. What we can't do until the deadline or until we've agreed, we've had the meet and confers with union, is really act on non-compliance, right? But we have a great relationship with the CFA, and we will be working closely with them to ensure that anything that affects faculty members is something that we've discussed with them, and you know, whether it be through a formal or informal process.
Thank you. And I should clarify what I called CSA. What is actually CFA is the California Faculty Association, the faculty union. Our final question relates to department chairs and their actions. How should department chairs advise faculty who are not comfortable returning to campus for their in-person classes?
Yeah, and I'm sort of glad to get this question. I mean, I think department chairs, you know, people say they have the hardest job at the university, and I do think it's true in many, many ways. I mean, it really is that job where you have lots of responsibility and little authority, and much has fallen on them during the pandemic, and they are the ones that are answering many of these questions. And I think the other reason I like this question is, you know, a lot of the times I have to say things like, hey, if someone tells you that you're teaching a face-to-face class, your dean, then you are teaching a face-to-face class and you must comply. And that's sort of a very clinical response. But what we're doing is a very human endeavor. And so I think it really is providing reassurance to members of our community about the safety measures that have been described earlier in the webinar. I think it's valuable for faculty members to talk to other faculty members who have been on campus, right? Because some of it is worrying about the unknown, anxiety about the unknown. But we've had faculty members teaching on campus, working in labs, doing a variety of things. So talk to someone who's actually lived the experience on being being on campus. We also have the Faculty Staff Assistance Program that people can go to. Corey O'Toole can talk people through their concerns. And breaking news is that we just joined an employee assistance program, which provides sort of that kind of, I don't necessarily want to call it therapy or counseling, but it's a way to discuss things in a confidential manner for faculty and staff at no cost. Started at the beginning of this month, and there's an 800 number, 800-367-7474, that our employees can call 24 hours a day and get some, you know, someone to talk to that's an expert and sort of independent. Or there's a website that people can go to, which is www.mylifematters.com. And the password is Go Beach. So that, you know, just gives me the opportunity to, you know, we all understand how stressful and how much anxiety there is around coming back to campus. And we are trying to, we're ensuring that everybody's safe, and there are places you can go to get sort of some conversation that's confidential.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that resource with us. Thanks also for your comments about how what we're doing is a human endeavor. I really like that, and it's really valuable at this moment. I will turn it back to Provost Sissom Gunn for our next panelist.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to ask our Director of Environmental Health and Safety, George Alfaro, questions about campus safety. Our first question is, can the campus clearly identify which buildings and rooms do or do not have new ventilation systems?
Absolutely, Provost Gunn. The campus has increased the level of filtration to the highest level achievable in every building on campus. We have modified the filtration system on every building on campus and increased that level of filtration. Along with that, we have also our beach building services team has also serviced each air handling system. We have cleaned, disinfected the system, the distribution system in those units, and we have increased the fresh air intake in those units to maximize the amount of fresh air we're getting into campus spaces. Along with that, we have also started a construction project to add some new air handling systems to some of our older buildings where these systems are getting a little bit older in age, just to get them into compliance. That takes some time. As you imagine, that goes through a planning group, through a construction group. It all takes time to get that in place, but we have started a construction project to add those systems to our buildings.
That's so encouraging to hear about that kind of retrofit activity to ensure the quality of air that's flowing through our spaces. So thank you for that. What different steps is the campus taking based on the Delta variant?
The campus is working really closely with the Long Beach Department of Public Health to assess the impact of any positive COVID case on campus. We're also working with the Long Beach Public Health to provide guidance on any high-risk activities we have on campus that may occur on campus. So we're working with the Long Beach Health Department. We're also following LA County Health Department guidelines that were issued in response to the surging Delta variant. So we're working with those protocols. We have those protocols in place. We're enforcing those protocols on campus. And we're also addressing the Delta variant in our CSULB campus training that we're providing for our students and our staff, so they can be aware the knowledge of the Delta variant and what it's doing to the campus and how it impacts COVID and our campus operations.
That's so important. What approval is necessary for events to occur on campus?
So we're trying to get events back to some normalcy on campus where we've met with event coordinators, we've met with venue managers, we've developed an event planning guide for them to use during this time. So we have that already in place. We're working with these venue managers on providing review and approval of any events they may want to bring forward. But we are adding a caveat to that any approval may change based on local conditions, right? So as things change, we may need to pivot based on guidance we hear from Long Beach Public Health.
Indeed, indeed. Will simple restroom supplies be maintained?
Absolutely. We have our beach building custodial staff that is providing high-touch disinfection during the daytime. And part of their disinfection is also restocking the restroom supplies. We also have our night crew that does a complete cleaning and disinfection of these restrooms as well after hours. And part of their job is also to restock the supplies. So as you see at night and during the day, we have an eye on supplies and we are constantly restocking supplies. We also ask if anyone notices any lack supplies, our 5 helpline, 54357 is our line to our BBS customer service, and a simple call that will get someone immediately to respond to restock anything that may be missing.
Very good. Have there been any other cleaning protocols in particular that have changed over time that you'd like to elaborate on?
Sure. With science kind of backing away from surface contact transmission, we see Cal OSHA and the California Department of Public Health kind of easing the requirements, for disinfection and cleaning, where at one time they were asking us to make sure we were doing this disinfection frequently during the day. Now they have eased back to regular disinfection frequencies and regular cleaning of these areas. However, we as a campus, as has been mentioned before by these previous speakers here, we take safety as a high priority, right? We make sure that we're taking that a step above. So what we're doing is we're continuing our daytime high-touch disinfection of the restrooms and continuing with our night crew disinfection of these restrooms. So we'll continue above and beyond what's been required by Cal OSHA and the California Department of Public Health.
We really appreciate the work that's being done. What are you focusing on in particular?
My focus is to keep the campus safe. I know it's kind of loaded. It's a real simple answer, but there's so many different variables attached to that, right? In regards to make sure the buildings are ready, making sure that people are checking the locks, they make sure they're checking the lights, making sure we're checking all the little details as people come back to the campus to repopulate. We're also making sure that we have ample supplies for folks for personal protective equipment so they can request, whether they want some wipes, some masks, some sanitizing solution, whatever it may be. Make sure we have enough supply ready so we can support the campus population with whatever supplies they may request. In addition to making sure we have the signage up on buildings, right? We're following LA County protocol, so part of the protocol is make sure we have the signage on these doors requiring face masks as you go into buildings, requiring the questionnaire to be completed before you go into buildings. We're working with that. We're making sure that the campus buildings are ready, and also some of our hard touch areas. We've added some antimicrobial buttons on some of our elevators. We've added some wraps in our push doors that are antimicrobial. So we're making sure everything is set. So when the campus repopulates, everything is ready from a health and safety standpoint.
Well, Director Alfaro, we really thank you and your teams for going through those extraordinary measures, because I think all of us have articulated very well, but I'd like to emphasize that we're not cliche about safety first. This is a community, and we realize not only do we come and engage with one another, but there are individuals within our own orbits that we go home to. So all of those considerations that we're able to implement in compliance with the science and guidance, we're doing so. And we thank you and your teams for really going through those physical measures to make sure that our environment is as safe as possible. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And I am going to turn the floor back over to Chair Holtgren.
Thank you. We'll now hear some medical information, which I know a lot of folks have asked about. We have a couple questions for Nurse Angela Conti, the Director of Operations for CSULB Student Health Services. To start, the first question has to do with proof of vaccination. After we have uploaded proof of vaccination, will we be carrying vaccine proof on campus? Will we need to show this information on campus? You know, I'm wondering, should people run out and laminate their vaccination cards?
So once everyone, staff, students, faculty have uploaded, have done their certification, really their job is done. I do not believe there is a need to, I do not believe anyone on campus should be asking others for proof of their vaccinations, because it will be in the system. However, I will say I do think it is wise to always carry your vaccination card, just in general. Keep it in your wallet, because you never know when you may need it. You know, if you need to enter a certain place, not on campus, but in just even in the outside.
Thank you. That's very valuable. I need to start doing that myself. If exposure occurs between students and faculty on campus, how exactly will the exposure notification process take place?
So we've had a system in place since spring 2020. And the only thing that is changing as we speak is that we are working with a third-party vendor. Student Health is working with a third-party vendor to assist us in performing the contact tracing side of this. So essentially how it works is students are expected to fill out their pre-screen every day that they're coming to campus. We receive the pre-screens that have, you know, the X mark on it, and students always will get a message with that X, do not come to campus until you're contacted. Students will be contacted. We will gather more information. What's nice about the pre-screen is that it gives students an opportunity to list where they are supposed to be on campus, who their professors are. So then at that point, once we've gathered the information and we determine, okay, the student needs to go in isolation or in quarantine, we then will contact the professors in which that the student was supposed to be in class with that day. And, we never ever give reasons. We just state, okay, please note that student so-and-so is not cleared to come to campus today, or if they've been placed in an extended period of quarantine or isolation, we will let them know that. And so, yeah, that's basically the system. So all the appropriate parties are notified. And then we will follow up as well. Once, if we get a negative test result, or if they're cleared for whatever reason, we will then follow up with the professor and state, please note that the student is now cleared to return to campus. And like I said, we will be partnering with a third-party vendor who is going to be assisting us in this process.
Great. I really appreciate the details about the vendor, about the notification process, and about contact tracing. I think there have been questions about that, and it's very, very useful to know going into the start of classes. At this point, I will turn it over to Provost Sissom Gunn for some questions about campus logistics.
All right, thank you. And these are our final round. This is our final round of questions. And we'll be hearing from Assistant Vice President for Administration and Finance, Michelle Laws, to engage in some questions around campus logistics. So our first question is, and people will be really happy, I'm sure eager to know the answers to this one. What food options will be available on campus in fall 2021?
Thank you for that question. I get asked that a lot. So there will be several vendors that are providing food on campus, specifically Sparrow, Coffee Bean, and Tea Leaf, and Robex in the Union. The Outpost will be open. The Caffeine Lab, which is taking the place of Starbucks in the library, will be open, as well as the convenience stores throughout campus. The University Dining Plaza will be closed, and the food sources in there will be closed, including the chart room. Some of the vendors are delayed. Carl's Jr. is going to be delayed because of a construction issue, and thinks the Nugget as well. We're having a big staffing issue, trying to get workers for some of our on-campus food, food availability, and we're prioritizing the dining, for our students. So that is where we are funneling most of the workers. So the Nugget is going to be delayed because of that staffing issue. We're still discussing reopening plans with some vendors such as El Pollo Loco and Subway. These are business decisions for these vendors. It's really not a university decision as to if they open or not. It needs to be profitable for them. So they are going to judge by the how many people are on campus, is the foot traffic in the first couple of weeks to see if they will be opening. In addition to the vendors that I mentioned that are open, we are going to have some food trucks. So 3 to 5 food trucks on campus for the main hours. And we're going to watch it over the first couple of weeks and see if we need to add or if we don't need those trucks. But depending on that foot traffic, we can use food trucks to give some more options to the campus community.
Thank you so much for that. And how are these options going to be different from those that we've implemented in the past?
The vendors that are open, they're going to be offering more catering options. So, takeaway platters and things like that. And much more takeout is available. So people can grab and go.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And where can listeners and other individuals who are interested in this information find information about updated campus logistics?
There's two good places. The best one is on our website, which is csulb.edu/COVID-19. That website has all the latest information. So, vaccine requirements, testing availability, online training, and then repopulation plans by function. So, enrollment services, food, etc. The other good place is the campus interactive maps, which is maps.csulb.edu. That has more, what buildings are open, what buildings are closed, more how to navigate the campus. And it has many different overlays. Where is there parking available? All of those specific questions. So those are 2 places that you can look for more information.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked a little bit about events already, but from a logistics standpoint, how will events work?
Well, as George mentioned, our planning is going back to normal. So that means normal capacity limits for the rooms that are holding events and normal availability. So our event space that we always have is going to be open and available. Of course, all the visitors are going to have to abide by the campus safety protocols. And everything is subject to change. As George said, we're going to have to pull back if the county says we have to. That's going to include events as well. And I'm even cautioning on planning spring events at this point. We're kind of cautiously planning fall events. And as we get closer to spring, hopefully we'll have more information of how to plan those events.
Very good guidance. Do visitors need to follow any particular COVID protocols?
Yeah, so they have to abide by our campus safety guidelines, as I mentioned, and we're really working with the county on how to handle the larger gatherings. So things like sporting events. We've been working very closely with them for the pyramid, and then some of the theater events as well, CPAC and some of the other larger venues. It's clear that all visitors are going to have to wear face masks indoors. In terms of asking them about their vaccine status, we don't have plans to do that now. We're going to rely that everybody has face coverings. But again, we're still kind of in discussion with the county on the larger gatherings. And if they require us to do anything more, we certainly will.
That is such good logistics information, AVP Laws. Thank you so much. I am going to turn the floor over. With that being our last round of questions, I'm going to turn the floor back over to Chair Holtgren.
Great, thanks again. Thank you to all our panelists for answering our questions today as we prepare for the semester. We're very grateful for the work that you're doing on campus. And I think we're all looking forward to a successful, safe, and to borrow the term that Kirsty Fleming used earlier, a human fall term. To close, I'd like to hear from the panelists about what they are looking forward to in fall semester. I'll give an example for myself. For example, I'm more excited than I think I would like to admit about the chance to return to the university library and browse the stacks. I've been wanting to do that for months. Now that I hear about the caffeine lab, I think I'll do many experiments there as well. If we could, just going in the order that folks presented, could our panelists let us know at this point what you're looking forward to in the fall? So we'll go ahead and start again with Vice Provost Cormack.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to many things. Many of us have been back to campus in some form for several months or for a while, and I'm looking forward to more people being there. Right? So it'll be nice to actually be able to meet with people and talk with people on campus instead of just going to my office and Zooming from my office on campus. Something else that I'm looking forward to is our opening of the second floor library graduate studies area. So we'll have a new space that's dedicated just for graduate students with our graduate center located there, a thesis office located there, and lots of resources and study space. So we're excited about this new opportunity for our graduate students as well.
Right, I think VP Lesson is next.
I think it's my turn. Yeah, thanks. Remember, I started this job during the pandemic when no one was on campus. So I'm looking forward to running into people and having incidental interactions with folks. But most of all, I'm so looking forward to seeing this campus full of students. I miss them. I know that we all do, but I miss them so much. And the campus is so quiet and just isn't what it's supposed to be without our students being here. So I just can't wait to just see them and be around them and feel their energy and see them talking to each other and do all the things that we're meant to be doing here. I can't wait for our students to come back.
Great, yes. Let's see, Associate VP Torres.
Well, yeah, I don't know that my story and my wish is any different than Jody's or Beth's. I saw some students today and it was like, I was just so excited. I'm like pointing, look, there's students, there's students. It was like so odd, but yet refreshing and such a blessing to see. Similar to Jody, I've been sitting in my office suite by myself for the last year and a half. And I feel like it's overpopulated. There's 3 people in here and I don't know what to do and how to behave. So I'm excited to see my team come back as well.
Great, great. Associate VP Fleming.
Well, you know, I might be being overly optimistic, but one of the things I think about, and I think we're all very aware of, is we've had nearly a year and a half now where everybody's had at least 2 jobs, you know, your day job and your COVID job. And then there are other jobs that people have, the parent job, the elder care job, you know, so we've had this multiplicity of different things. And I am hoping and I am optimistic that I can spend more time on my day job in the coming semester, and the parts that I think really speak to me, where I have the opportunities to work closely with faculty members and chairs to support their work, and with groups like the Faculty Equity Advocates to make a difference in the culture and climate for our faculty. So what I'm looking forward to is really being able to sort of engage more in that kind of work than I have been able to in the last year or so, and make a difference for everyone.
Great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me about the 2 jobs. Next, we'll hear from Assistant VP Laws.
Well, I have 2 things I'm looking forward to. One is just meetings, in-person meetings with other colleagues on campus. I miss just hearing about their families and all the kind of side talk and chatter that you catch up with people normally, which I didn't even know was there before COVID, and now I really miss it. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then second, some of the big events on campus. I really missed those last year, specifically some of the student ones like Smorgasbord and Move In Day. I mean, even though they might look a little bit different now, I'm just so excited to have that energy back and have people getting together for fun things and you know, things that give the campus its great feel.
I think we all need that kind of good excitement right now. So I agree with you. How about Director Angela Conti? We haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, so very much like everyone else, I'm really looking forward to seeing more students and working with students on campus. Hopefully doing a little bit less COVID work, a little bit more SHS, my traditional role, engaging in that. Other than that, I'm looking forward to my kids being in school full time and praying for herd immunity.
I will offer a prayer myself. Our last panelist to hear from before we turn it back to Provost Sissom Gunn is Director George Alfaro.
Well, I think I'm looking forward to, as people have said, seeing students back on campus. As we walk through a lot of departments, a lot of areas, I've been speaking to a lot of staff on campus. And the one thing I keep hearing is a lot of staff saying, I want to start taking advantage of outdoors. I want to start eating my lunch outdoors. I want to start enjoying outdoors more. We want to get away from these buildings. We want to go outside. So I'm looking forward to kind of, you know, perusing through the campus and seeing staff, students, faculty, all outside, enjoying some fresh air and some fresh ventilation.
Great, thank you. So back to the provost to wrap everything up.
I will do, and I'll just say, I really think that was just great to give us some space to share things that we've just been, you know, craving, the things that we love about the beach and that we've missed so much. And I'm in a similar position with VP Lesson. I'm 6 weeks into the job as provost here on the campus, and I have yet to meet some people any further than the shoulders up. Right. I mean, we've met and even bonded, but it's all been virtually. And I'm just looking forward to the opportunity where we can have the meeting after the meeting and catch one another going into the meeting and have those kind of incidental interactions, you know, with people that I'm already meeting with. And second, you know, one of the things that was so attractive to me about the beach is that there's a signature vibe about Cal State Long Beach. And I'm very much looking forward into experiencing that vibe. And it's not a vibe that's virtual. You know, it's an imprimatur that this campus and a signature that this campus embodies. And I'm just all of those things that make up the beach. I'm just so eager to immerse myself into them as a member of the family. So I am really looking forward, as many of you have said, to make sure that we can launch our campus safely, that we can make sure that we monitor, and that the ebb and flow of this pandemic begin to take a turn, so that we can get to some sort of normal. And it may never be normal as we've known it, but it's a sense of routine and rhythm and flow that we can experience in ways that we've just been denied for so long. So I'm really looking forward to those kinds of developments. And with that being said, this is going to conclude our event. On behalf of the Cal State Long Beach Academic Senate and the Academic Affairs, we'd like to thank you today for taking out this time, lending your expertise, and certainly the commitment that you all obviously embody and approach this work with, as we work toward assuring dissemination of repopulation information as broadly as we can to our campus community. We'd like to thank those members of the Beach community who've been thinking about questions, contemplating what repopulation means, and have formulated the questions to which you answered. So thank you so much to investing in the information that we're able to share with the Beach community. We encourage everyone to frequently visit the campus Reuniting the Beach website for updates and helpful resources around repopulation. So we now conclude this session. Have a great rest of your day. And as we always say, go Beach. Thank you so much.